Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking a really highly codified text.
The Event Stream Navigator Protocol.
Exactly. And it's built on a premise that just fundamentally shifts how you look at everything. It states, reality isn't followed, it is steered.
And that one statement, that's really the key to this entire deep dive.
It is.
Because most people, when they try to change something in their lives, a job, a habit, they're operating too late in the process.
They're trying to change things that have already hardened.
Right. The clay is already set. So our mission today is to zero in on where that control point actually is.
And then break down the protocol for engaging it. We're moving past theory here and into, well, active operational understanding. So we've structured this around the protocol's core segments. First, we'll define the operational field, what they call the event stream.
Then the mechanism for interaction, the trajectory lock.
And finally, the actual commands, the three-step sequence called the navigator protocol. This is basically the starting block for reality hacking.
A good place to start is the terrain itself. You can't steer anything if you don't understand the environment.
Right.
And the sources, particularly the Seattle Codex, they lay out three very distinct layers of reality.
And that's the foundational question, isn't it? If we can't really change things in the physical world, which is what we all try to do, then what are the other layers? Where's the actual target?
It all comes down to viscosity, really, how wet the data is. The first layer is the one we all know, the materium,
The physical world?
the physical world. But the Codex calls it the hardened past, or dead data.
Dead data. I like that. So trying to change things here is like trying to edit a printed book with a pen.
It's exactly that. It's
Yeah.
too late. The story's already been printed and bound. It's exhausting, and it's mostly ineffective.
Okay, so if the materium is the hardened artifact, what's upstream from that?
That's where we find the crucial layer, the event streams. This is the operational zone.
The active formation zone.
Yes. It's where everything is described as all becoming. You should think of it as this massive real-time simulation where reality is still malleable, it's still wet.
So that's where we should be focusing all our energy.
That's the target. And then even further upstream, you have the source field, the eternal now,
No time, just pure potential.
the infinite reservoir. But for an operator, the takeaway is practical. Everything that shows up in the materium, your physical world,
It starts in the event stream.
starts in the event stream. That's the only place to effectively steer reality.
That clears up the terrain perfectly, so we know where to apply the force. Now, let's get into the how. The protocol has this fundamental inversion of perspective,
You are not inside reality. Reality is inside your projection field.
which is a huge mental shift.
It is. It means your conscious, focused field is the source of the patient, the push required to steer the event stream.
And how is that push generated?
It's through a synergy of three specific acts, and they have to be simultaneous. If they are, they create what the protocol calls a trajectory lock.
A trajectory lock. So this is the mechanism that stabilizes your intended direction.
Right. But all three components have to be there. If one is missing, or even just misaligned, the long fails. The trajectory it fizzles out.
So what are the three components? Let's break them down.
Okay, so the first is attention. This is defined as what you amplify.
Your energetic bandwidth, your focus.
Exactly. The second is emotion. This is what you energize. Just thinking about something isn't enough. It's inert.
You need the charge. Desire, conviction,
Right.
something.
That's the kinetic energy for the push. And the third component is action, what you anchor.
Okay, wait, let's pause there. If the materium is dead data, why does the protocol need a physical action in the materium to be part of the lock? That feels like a contradiction.
That's the critical point. It's a fantastic question. The action isn't meant to change the materium directly.
Okay.
It functions as a feedback loop. It's a signal of commitment back to the event stream.
Ah, so it proves you're serious.
You've got it. If you have intense attention and powerful emotion, but you take zero physical action, the signal is all potential, no follow-through. The action is you burning the boats. It solidifies the choice.
So the triad has to hold. Attention, emotion, action. One without the others is useless.
An engine without fuel. The alignment has to be total.
That is a massive clarification. Okay, with the trajectory lock established, let's move to the actual implementation, the navigator protocol.
We go from the mechanism to the command sequence. It's a three-step process. Locate, lean, and lock.
Command 1, locate. How do you find the right direction? There's so much noise.
Locate is about diagnostics. It's identifying what the sources call the persistent pull.
The signal versus the noise.
Right, and it gives you 4 questions to filter with. What compels you, what repeats, what won't leave your mind.
But how do you know that pull isn't just wishful thinking? Or, a desire for something easy or comfortable?
The Codex is clear on this. The differentiation is in the quality of the energy. Wishful thinking is focused on the end result, the prize in the materium.
The money, the status.
Right, and it feels needy. The real pull from the event stream is usually about the process, and it often feels, well, it feels like it's pulling you toward expansion, toward something bigger, even if it's harder.
So the need to expand is the key filter.
It's the strongest one.
So once you've located that pull, you move to command 2. Lean. This sounds like it's all about decisiveness.
Absolutely. Lean is about suspending doubt. It demands you tilt toward the pull, as they say. You have to move before you're certain.
Which is the opposite of how most people operate. We wait for proof.
And that's the trap. The protocol has a mantra for this, and it's critical. Certainty comes after motion, not before.
You have to move while the clay is still wet.
You'd have to. The moment you lean, you are actively pushing on the event stream. And the stream, it responds.
With things like synchronicity.
Exactly. A sudden, clear alignment. And that's the trigger for the final command, command 3, lock.
Okay, so a synchronicity happens. This feels like the highest leverage point in the whole sequence. What is the required response?
This is where most people fail. The response has to be immediate and threefold. Acknowledge it, anchor it, and accelerate into it.
Accelerate into it, not just appreciate it.
That's the fatal mistake. Pausing to admire the coincidence, feeling grateful. That hesitation allows competing timelines to rush in and collapse the potential you just created.
So you have to double down.
Immediately. You have to accelerate your attention, your emotion, and your action to lock that trajectory in place and make it irreversible. The synchronicity isn't the destination. It's the green light to go faster.
Wow. So the whole philosophy is reality favors those who move first. If you hesitate, you lose the energetic advantage.
You lose everything.
Yeah.
Which brings us to feedback. How do you handle the signals you get back?
Right. What about those sudden surges of anxiety or that feeling of intense pressure that something big is coming?
The protocol has a very specific classification for that. It's not interference, it's signal. They're called T waves.
Temporal signature feedback.
Yes, and it's often mistaken for fear. But the idea is that your future self on the trajectory you just started to lock is already generating so much energy that the signal collapses backward in time.
So that feeling isn't about a present threat, it's feedback from a future outcome. How does an operator decode that? How do you tell it apart from just normal anxiety?
It comes down to the quality of the signal. Regular anxiety feels chaotic, directionless. T-waves are intense, but they're highly directional. There are 2 rules for interpretation.
Okay.
1, if the wave feels tight, constricted, with no sense of forward motion, that signals you're on the wrong trajectory or you're resisting the lean command.
And the second rule.
2, if the wave feels like intense pressure plus a clear, overwhelming sense of direction, that's alignment activating.
So you have to learn to ride it.
You have to.
Right.
The mandate is surf or drown. You use that energy to fuel your acceleration.
Reframing anxiety as navigation data that's a game changer. But this isn't happening in a vacuum. The sources mention timeline competition.
It's a crowded field. Your trajectory lock is just one force among many.
So what are we competing against?
Well, there are negative forces, what they call parasites, which feed on fear timelines, and institutions, which push for stagnation to keep things predictable.
But there are positive forces, too.
Of course, other people co-creating. And most powerfully, future you. The highest outcome version of you is also competing to pull you onto the best trajectory.
So inaction isn't neutral. When you procrastinate, you're actively feeding a lower timeline.
That's precisely the warning. You choose your allies with your focus, frequency, and fervor. If you drop the ball, something else will steer for you. The warning is stark. If you fail to steer, others will.
Which puts all the responsibility back on the operator.
Okay, finally, the protocol dismisses the idea of a map. It says there is no map. There is only orientation.
Right. Because a map is static. The terrain is always changing. You need a compass, a true north. And it defines that true north. It says forward isn't about time.
No. Forward expansion.
So any choice that expands your capacity, your courage, or your consciousness is the right choice, even if it leads to what looks like a failure in the materium.
It does. The protocol judges the move based on that net increase. An easy choice that brings a small win but doesn't expand you
Is stagnation.
is classified as a trap.
Yeah.
Anything that doesn't expand you is a trap.
That is an incredibly clean filter for making decisions. We've gone from the materium as dead data all the way to a command sequence for moving in the formation zone. The whole thing is about motion over planning.
It is. And just by understanding these concepts, the event stream, the lock, the protocol, the listener has really performed the operator status upgrade.
They qualify for reality hacking level 1.
This is your new operational baseline. Conscious creation, active alignment, signal decoding, timeline steering.
Which brings us to that final provocative thought. If forward equals expansion and everything else is a trap, the protocol leaves you with one question. What tiny decisive movement can you make right now, in this moment, that expands your capacity, your courage, or your consciousness?
Because that metric is your only true north. Every action that contracts you, that fosters fear, that's a move onto a lower timeline. The choice, moment by moment, is always in the direction of expansion.